This is the news that seaside town of Newquay could become the UK's first commercial spaceport. It's just one of the proposals in the government's new modern transport bill to be outlined in the Queen's speech on Wednesday. 6 sites have been tipped for the £150 million base, 4 in Scotland and 1 in Wales. But Newquay in Cornwall is the hot favourite. And with me now is Dr. Robert Massey from the Royal Astronomical Society. Welcome to the programme. So, why Newquay?
Well, actually, the different sites that have been identified are ones with existing airfields,
right?
Because that's almost a prerequisite if you're going to do this kind of thing. I mean, I can't imagine the kind of issues involved in establishing a spaceport on, say, a greenfield site somewhere. If you think the public
you could be there for a long time, yes,
this would be something else.
Right, is there a solid business case for it?
I think that's an open question, actually. I mean, we put evidence into the Select Committee inquiry into space and satellites policy a couple of months ago, and we were a bit ambivalent about it because I think if it's solely going to operate on a commercial basis, it has to prove itself. If you need, for example, a booming space tourism industry to deliver that, there isn't actually much of a space tourism industry at all at the moment, except for wealthy Americans paying the Russians to go to the space station. So it's got some way to go before we'd be convinced by that.
But could this be the beginning of seeing Britain and the UK, maybe unlikely, but as a world commercial space power?
Well, if it does work, it will rely on a new engine being developed by a company called Reaction Engines. And what they're trying to do, rather than having a vertical lift capacity, and although I still think there's a place for conventional rockets for a long time to come, is to have a space plane, and that's being supported partly by the government, which is a good thing. If it works, then the idea is it would be almost an entirely reusable system. It would carry things up to high altitude, deploy them, and then return them to Earth. And that would be part of the commercial thing for putting satellites in space. You could then envisage, say, someone like Virgin Galactic coming in and delivering people on their short trips from there as well. But there are an awful lot of buts along the way here. It's not the ideal location in the world. You really want to be close to the equator for good reasons, connected with the physics of it. And also, you know, again, I'm not sure about the commercial market just yet. What I will say, that if it gets built, I'm sure scientists will use it. You know, we're happy to exploit these things.
I'm sure you are quite wise too. What about surfers? They're going to get a fright, aren't they, if there are rockets taking off as they're surfing the waves in Newquay? I know, I'm sure my guests here are keen surfers. Dan?
Never quite got there.
That would be a big...
Politics is a form of surf.
Yes, I suppose it is. Yes, how would that look?
I think you'd probably have a shock if you didn't know what was happening, but one assumes it's sort of once a day at most, rather than every half hour or so.
So would you get thumbs up for Newquay as the base for space rockets going on?
Thumbs up, I don't know. Yes, but I'm extremely sceptical about the business case.
You are you?
Well, I wonder how it'll go with the tourism. Might increase the tourism, on the other hand, might not.
All right.